Howdy folks, I'm Worried Wax Flower, wearily waxing on to waffling walruses.
I'm Amber.
And Amber, I want to know, why is this flower waxing on to walruses? Is it in love with the walruses?
No, the walruses are just there.
I don't know why, I don't know how, but I'll just accept it as a fact. Let's get started. And folks, we have a live stream later on today. We hope to see you then. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Taking the Blame for Unknowingly Breaking a Mom's Rules for Her Kid? I'm a 41-year-old female and my daughter is 15, and she had a sleepover a couple of days ago with 4 of her friends. From what I observed, the girls had a lot of fun together and were very respectful of each other, and to my husband and I. Most of the girls' parents thanked me and my husband for hosting and said positive things, but one texted me a list of all the things that I did wrong. The first thing that upset this mom was the fact that my daughter and her friends went swimming in our backyard pool. When the sleepover invites were sent out via text, I asked moms if they were okay with the girls going swimming. All of them said yes, or it's okay with me, except the complaining mom, who simply liked my text. I assumed that this meant yes. I would not have allowed this had the girls not been forced to pass a swimming safety test, which included a swim test at the end for their PE class. Additionally, my husband completed a lifeguard course from the Red Cross and passed it with flying colors. The mom's second issue was that the girls ate certain foods that she deemed unhealthy. I, however, did not see this as an issue because I think that eating junk food at a sleepover is okay. The next issue was the movies that the girls had watched. Since some of the girls are 14 and others are 15, we told them that there were no R-rated movies allowed. But other than that, it was up to them. They ended up choosing The Fault in Our Stars, which the complainer deemed inappropriate. The final thing that she said that she was mad about was the fact that the girls didn't actually go to sleep until midnight. As a mom myself, I understand because I want my daughter to get enough sleep. However, both my husband and I do think that sleepovers are a time when it's okay to stay up late, provided the kids let the parents sleep, which my daughter and her friends did. Additionally, the girls woke up at 8:30, meaning that they got about 8.5 hours of sleep. I received the complaining mom's text the other day after the sleepover. The text said, "Thank you for having my daughter over. It was gracious of you to open up your home and graciously to host her. However, I feel that many of your decisions were questionable and inappropriate." Then she proceeded to list off her objections with specific reasons for each. I then replied, "Please tell your daughter thanks for coming. She was a pleasure to host. I understand your concerns, but considering that you never communicated your expectation or rules, I don't think that it's fair to place the blame on me. If we ever do things like this in the future, please make sure to let me know of any restrictions ahead of time. Thank you, and have a lovely weekend." She then responded angrily that it was my fault, and when I texted her sorry, she didn't respond. Am I the jerk for not taking the blame? And folks, I do want to add a little bit of context because one of the comments do address in more detail about what the mom said. And No Tesla from me says, "When I read your story, I knew that following it would be a flood of not the jerks. But this one is info for me. You say, she then proceeded to list her objections with specific reasons for each, but you omit those specific reasons. Of course people are going to side with you when the only arguments given are your own, and quietly omitted the other side even while admitting you, unlike us, knew it." And OP replies, "Here are her arguments as to why what I did was not okay. 1. Swimming in saltwater pools is unhygienic. I have no idea when you last cleaned it, and there may be dangerous germs in it. Plus, bikinis, which my daughter and some of her friends wore, were highly inappropriate. 2. The food that you provided was unhealthy. Microwave popcorn has dangerous chemicals in it, and has been proven that grilled food, my husband made hot dogs and hamburgers on our grill, has negative impacts on one's health. Caesar salad is not healthy at all. You should have provided more nutritious options. Finally, serving bacon and sausage for breakfast was not a good choice. They are full of nitrates. Mind you, that the bacon and sausage we served was all natural and had none of those. 3. The Fault in Our Stars contains intimate time, drinking, and death. It's not okay for young girls to be watching that kind of stuff. 4. Research shows that growing teenage girls need their sleep. They should be asleep by 10:30, and by allowing them to go to sleep at midnight, you have compromised their health. Hope this helps. Apologies for not being more clear and providing more info beforehand. I was trying to be mindful of the character limit. Alright folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. If you have very specific requirements for your child, it is your responsibility to communicate them. None of what OP did is outside the standard realm of a sleepover, and she even asked about the swimming pool. The mom had an opportunity to say, I'm not okay with this, and she liked the message, which I would assume would be condoning that choice.
Why even let your kid go out and have sleepovers at this point in time?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this mother thinks that all parents are going to parent in the exact same way that she does, then she's not right. Parents are not going to parent in the same way that she does.
Right, and one night of fun is not going to ruin the kids forever. Like, it's okay to occasionally not get a full night's sleep. It's okay to occasionally eat food that isn't very healthy, like everything in moderation.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's it, right? This isn't at all the time. You're never going to be unhealthy over one action, right? It's a series of actions that eventually leads to a life of being unhealthy. And it's also a series of good habits that leads to being healthy. So I just don't think that this is as big of an issue as she's making it seem like.
Right, and OP is not a mind reader. Like, the movie they watched was PG-13.
Yeah.
Which the kids are all over 13. And so, like, for most parents, that's going to be perfectly acceptable.
Well, and that's what the standards have said, is that these movies are acceptable for kids over 13, right? Now, I understand her being uncomfortable with some of those themes, but if she wanted them to watch G-rated movies, then I think that's something that she should have said, right?
Right, exactly. Like, Opie has no way of knowing what other parents are or aren't comfortable with, and as long as it's within the realm of, like, normal sleepover activities, like, she can't run everything by this mom before she has a sleepover.
Yeah.
Oh, here's our entire menu and our entire plan and our movie and everything. Like, this mom is just being way too demanding.
Yeah.
And the onus was on her to communicate her limits beforehand.
Exactly. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for wanting my old friend to live with my wife and me against my wife's wishes? Background info. I'm a 32-year-old male and married my wife, a 25-year-old female, in March of this year. Our current lease for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment ends in April. I just got a new job where I'm making more money than I did before. I am planning on moving to a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom once the lease ends because I want more space. My wife is a student finishing her master's degree next March and will be contributing with her own income sometime after that. But my income alone is sufficient for the foreseeable future. My old friend, a 32-year-old male I've known since we were teenagers in high school, currently lives in another part of the country, far, far away. We'll call him Mike. He has an income, but it's quite low, lower than minimum wage, and he's been in an unfortunate situation for several years due to abusive and controlling family members and being forced to live with them. We have been good friends for many years, with roughly 2-year gap. We'll explain later. I've always wished that I could help him out of the situation. Since I'll be moving to a new place next year that has plenty of space for 3 people, my plan was to help Mike by giving him a place to stay. He would be chipping in, though even if he gives us a majority of his income, it still wouldn't be paying for his part of the rent. But I'm okay with that because of my current job. I've been brainstorming other ways that I can help him out. I've suggested this to Mike, and he wants to visit 1 month initially as sort of a test run to make sure that everything goes okay between us. And I've agreed to it. Mike and I, without my wife, have lived together for over a month in the past before and never had any real issues. Though it's been several years since we've seen each other in person, so I have no issue with his caution. If that month goes well, then the plan is that he'll go back to his family and then prepare to come back for something longer. The idea has made my wife furious, and we've been arguing about it for days. Her argument is that she didn't agree to live with 2 men, only me. She never met Mike, so I've been trying to negotiate with her. I've asked her to give the month a try, and she has been alternating between insisting that Mike might put our lives in danger, or that she would be signing up for a month of suffering. At most, she's agreed to let him live with us for up to a month only, and then rare visits after that. She insists that I am making an irrational request and that I should be willing to sacrifice my wish to help Mike because marriage requires sacrifices. For more background information on Mike, he's never had any issues with being violent or aggressive, unless something has changed since last time I was with him in person, and overall is more agreeable and more of a people pleaser than me. He has no criminal record, he doesn't drink or smoke or do any drugs, and is an extreme introvert, keeping to himself for the most part and not going out very much. His worst trait is that he can be antisocial. My wife's biggest complaint is that Mike's income comes from helping run a particularly unsavory website that I won't name. Mike actively despises the actual users of the website and has made it clear that he's only involved with the website because it's a comfortable job that he can do from home, and that he doesn't share any of the morals with the site's regular users. Several years ago, a disagreement regarding a user that I believe should have been banned from the website caused my biggest fight with Mike ever, which led to me lashing out at him, and we didn't talk for 2 years. My wife is also citing this as a reason for Mike being not trustworthy, though Mike and I have since had a long conversation about that big fight and have come to a mutual understanding about mistakes that we both made, though he continues to work for that website. My wife's second biggest complaint is that he's too low quality of a person. He's a high school dropout, while my wife and I both have college degrees, master's and a bachelor's respectively. So my wife is insisting that he belongs in a different circle compared to us. All of my attempts to compromise with my wife have failed. I've even offered to buy an expensive house for the 3 of us, 3-bedroom, 3-bath. And while she agreed with this, she shut it down after thinking about it for a day and is now back to rejecting the house and Mike completely. In fact, it was during this period of compromise that I brought up the idea to Mike. Final note, my wife reviewed this entire post to make sure that it's not biased. All right, folks, what do you think?
Yes, you're the jerk big time. When you chose to marry your wife, you chose to give her an equal say in major decisions, and that includes moving people into your home. That is a 2 yeses, 1 no type of situation.
And I would say that this could be a little bit different of a situation had he made it very, very clear before they got married that it was his plan at some point in time in the future to move Mike in. Mm-hmm. But seeing as how she's never even met Mike, they've never interacted, they don't have any kind of background information on each other. It doesn't sound like she knew about this and is completely blindsided about it.
Yeah, well, and I wonder too, it sounds like she doesn't have a job yet. She's still going to school. She probably does most of the housework. Is Opie going to expect her to be looking after Mike too? Because she's talking about it being a burden.
Well, and I'm hoping that's not the case, right? I'm hoping that everyone, if they were in this household situation, they would all pull their own weight.
You would hope, but how many of these stories do we hear about where the dude moves his buddy in and then wife is swamped with additional housework because buddy throws his clothes all over the place?
Or sexual harassment.
Or that too.
Right. So I think that this is one of those situations where he really needed to be upfront before marrying her, that this was a plan of his. And unfortunately, I think that it's a little late for him to be springing her on this whole plan to help Mike. And maybe there's some other way that he can help Mike out. I will say her attitude about Mike is kind of gross in a lot of ways.
I definitely don't like the elitism, but I don't know what the website is, and so it's hard to judge on that front. The elitism about degrees, yeah, that's not cool. You can be a great person and not have a college degree, and that's fine. But depending on the nature of the website, that might actually be relevant, and his whole thing of he's not making enough money to support himself, but I only work for this website because it's comfy.
Yeah. I think if you really have a moral objection with a place that you're working at, then you shouldn't work at that place, right? And I can understand that you have to pay bills, but there are a lot of places to work. I don't know why he has to choose this very morally questionable place.
Right. Well, and it's not even paying his bills. I would imagine there are other jobs he could get that would pay him a bit more. It seems in some ways like a problem of his own making.
Yeah. So maybe find a new job that doesn't require him to work in a position that is very much unsavory. Is this helping his resume? If you're working at a place that's very questionable and then you apply for another job, I don't know, how is that going to look, right? I'm really curious about what kind of website this is, the nature of it.
Well, it also seems like OP doesn't have any long-term plan. Like, it's not like Mike is like in between jobs and just needs, a week or two to get on his feet.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like he's going to help him indefinitely. But if Mike is just comfortable working at this job that's not paying him enough forever, and it seems like OP's in no hurry to get him out of there, this sounds like it could very quickly become a permanent living situation.
Well, and that is a concern, right? I think there needs to be like a concrete plan of like, I'm going to help Mike out. I'm going to get him on his feet. We're going to look for better jobs, blah, 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 blah. And within a year, we plan on having Mike moved out, right? Maybe a year is too long. But I don't think that the wife's reaction, I think the wife is actually being a little bit more understanding than OP is giving her credit for, in the respect that she's at least willing to try a month, right? She's at least willing to let him live there for a month.
Yeah.
And maybe she'll have a very different feeling about it over the course of a month. Maybe at the end of the month, she'll feel different and say, well, Mike is not such a bad guy. I actually like having him around. He does all the chores and blah, blah, blah. And I feel like he's a invaluable part of our household type of thing, right?
Right, but I can't blame her for being wary about when pretty much the only thing she knows is he doesn't make enough money to support himself and he works at a questionable website.
Yeah. And I think that she has every right to be apprehensive in this situation. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it's tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I have some tea right here, and Amber, I don't know what kind of joke she has, but we'll find out.
What did the accordion player do on his vacation?
Why are we back to this? Why are we back to this? Why? Why are we back to this? I thought we were done with these. Like, this is at the beginning of we already had this.
Well, we had similar ones at the beginning, and now we've got more at the end.
Why? Is this all that Jovial Bobside can think of?
The first one was, where did the occupations go on their vacation? Now we're learning what they did on their vacation.
Oh my goodness. No, this isn't right. This should be like against the Geneva Convention. What did the accordion player do when they went on vacation? They played a sad, sad song because they were tired of Jovial Bobstein's terrible jokes.
He got into a tight squeeze.
I'm not surprised by that at all. And I have Mega Mint. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy, fantastic Friday, folks. I can't believe it. We made it to the end of the week. Oh my goodness. But we aren't done yet because we have a live stream coming up at 6 o'clock. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, have it a questionable piece of advice. Like as if it were on a questionable website.
Take all your life advice from Jovial Bobstein jokes.
That's very questionable. Very, very questionable. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.